It's Brendon, your technology concierge. Today I'm joined by Max Starkov, all the way from the US, and we're talking about a number of things, all things technology, basically. Good morning, Max. How are you?
Hey, good morning from New York City. How are you, Brendon?
Max, one of the biggest issues we're facing in the hospitality industry right now as we come out of the pandemic is the labor shortage. And a couple of people I've spoken to have sort of indicated, oh, look, it's fine. It's a short-term problem. Once the borders open and, we can have some immigration, then we'll be able to fill the jobs. What are your thoughts on that? Is it a short-term problem, you think?
First of all, this is not a pandemic problem because in 2019, which was a record year in hospitality here in the United States, for example, there were 1 million open positions in hospitality in 2019.
Yep.
So that was pre-pandemic.
Yep.
And if we rely on foreigners to fill in those jobs, I mean, in the United States, there's a program where every year 66,000 temporary workers are allowed to come and work in hospitality. They come from all over the world. By the way, many students, just spend 3 months during the summer and so forth. Disneyland, Disney World, the different resorts and so forth. So there's 66,000 work permits that are issued to help with the labor shortages. Yet there were 1 million open positions. So what I mean is that we cannot issue 1 million temporary visas to fill in those jobs, and that was 2019. So just imagine, fast forward. First of all, the labor participation has dropped, and it has dropped in Australia, in Europe, in the United States. Right now, it's like 65% of the population or something like this actively working.
Yep.
And especially in the United States, for example, the unemployment rate is 4.6%. So, I mean, anything below 4% is considered full employment.
Yep.
And we're almost there, 4.6%. So in this sense, and right now in the United States, there are 10 million open positions across all industries.
Yep.
1.73 million in hospitality.
Wow. Okay.
We're talking about today. So
it's not a short-term problem.
So when people say that, oh, this is a temporary thing, it will be resolved, my answer is it will never be resolved because it wasn't resolved prior to the pandemic.
Yeah.
And also, labor shortages are not hospitality native problem. You have labor shortages in construction, in manufacturing, in trucking. There are 200,000 truckers that are needed in the United States today.
Wow. Okay.
And these are the people that, with the huge rigs, the huge trucks, that transport all of these containers and so forth. 200,000.
Yep.
And they're no takers. And these people make
pretty good
60,
money.
70, 80, up to $200,000 a year.
Yep.
Yet they're no takers. So what I mean is that this is not hospitality problem. A lot of, and again, this is the politicians talking, oh, if we increase, the minimum wage to $15, then there will not be an issue.
Yep.
In manufacturing, the starting salary is $25 an hour, yet they have labor shortages. In construction today, it's $45 an hour. So what I mean is that this is a problem of all of the labor-intensive industries.
Yep.
And the labor-intensive industries are doomed to have this issue not for a long time, forever.
Yep.
That's my point. And I believe that the only solution, I would say, to labor shortages is changing the business model. For example, from a full-service hotel becoming a select service hotel or limited service hotel, for example, killing your F&B, you know. So you can do certain things in your operations in order to streamline operations, simplify operations, remove labor intensive, for example, food and beverage, room service, forget it. You just you know, remove room service. Breakfast that is a la carte breakfast, no. Buffet breakfast. So what I mean is that there's certain business, I would say, tweaks to your business model that you can do.
Yep.
In order to simplify operations, but the most important, reduce the need for labor and
Yep.
reduce all of those labor-intensive operations. For example, what Hilton did with introducing housekeeping on demand,
Yep.
it immediately eliminates half of your
Yes.
of your housekeeping needs.
Yep.
Because if you go and stay someplace for 2 nights, do you really need a housekeeper to tuck your bed?
Yep.
And first of all, who invented this tucking of the beds in hotels? Nobody does this at home.
No, you're right.
Why do people do it?
Tradition.
It's such a. I mean, listen. I attended the boarding school. I went to the military in my native Bulgaria, and I'll tell you, every morning we had this ritual where we had to do our beds, you know, perfect and so forth. Still, we didn't tuck our beds. This is like a self-inflicted wound, because I'll tell you why. Because robots today can do, if you look at housekeeping is approximately 175 tasks.
Okay.
So there's no robot that can replace a housekeeper one-to-one.
Yep.
But if you dissect the housekeeping job, it consists of 175 tasks. Different robots can do 150 of those tasks.
Wow. Okay.
They cannot tuck beds yet.
No.
But if you remove bed tucking, for example, and employing like a team of robots, different robots that do different things, then you can resolve almost 100% of your housekeeping today. So that's my point. My point is that hoteliers have to become smart, and they have to sit back and dissect their operations and see what are these points in my guest services, guest interactions even, guest services where I can, first of all, I can save efforts, save resources, save human resources. And of course, and it's not only improving the bottom line, but it's simply, you don't have to hire those people that you cannot hire anyway, that you cannot find anyway. That's my point, because of the labor shortage. So in this sense, on one hand, if you dissect operations from the moment that the guest steps into your lobby, and first of all, mobile and contactless check-in.
Yes.
Immediately 50% of your front desk is irrelevant. You don't need them. And you will not fire them. You will simply
redeploy them, give them other jobs. No.
You will not hire them because you cannot find them anyway. So in this sense, you will have 50% of front desk people that you have to hire less. That's my point.
Yep.
And then for all of those that haven't gone through the mobile check-in, if you have self-checking kiosk in the lobby, you have some young guys. They could be interns that explain to the guests, especially elderly guests, how to do it and so forth. How they can self-check in.
Yep.
And then all the mobile keys. So basically, you dissect the full, I would say, stay of a guest, and you see where you can do improvements. You can introduce technology in order to solve your labor shortage problems. And I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
It's not only when the guest comes to the property. outside of reservations, typically 50% of phone calls to the property, 50% are, where the hell are you guys? What corner? What exit? Explain it on the website.
Yep.
So you start by your website. You start by reviewing your website. All the information, is it correct? Does this information provide, the right, I would say, the correct information, the correct, I would say, descriptions and so forth, so that they don't call the property? Because if they call the property, somebody has to pick up the phone. Who is the somebody?
Yep.
So this is the point. So you start from your website, you start from your booking engine on your website, you start with your descriptions and then photos, your visuals on the website, on your social media, through the distribution channels, OTAs, GDS, and so forth. And then from there, you channel those, during the planning and the dreaming, the planning and the booking phases of the customer journey. You dissect every single step, every single interaction between your hotel and the potential guests or returning guests. And then you see where you can introduce efficiencies. Some efficiencies are even better description on the website. So that's not new technology.
No.
That's not robots or AI. It's just common sense. So you start from there and then introduce CRM, for example. If you have CRM to communicate with all of the returning guests and all of the guests that have made a reservation and provide all the necessary information before they come to your property, before they even send the mobile check-in and so forth. So all of this, and then you have, you can automate this whole process from booking to people arriving at the property without a single human touching it, without interaction with a single human, which will save you. I mean, again, half of your front desk staff simply becomes irrelevant. You can deploy them to other better things to do. And then at the property, of course, during the whole stay, and what happens after the stay, I mean, after people leave. Again, for example, if you have CRM technology, you can communicate with them, you can send them a guest satisfaction survey, marketing automation, drip campaigns. You can keep engaging them, throughout the period after their stay, and hopefully bring them back to the property, as a repeat guest. So what I mean is that it's the first step, definitely, in solving labor shortages is to assess all the interactions and touch points with your guests pre, during, and post stay. And if you do that, any hotelier would find areas to provide efficiencies, to introduce better systems in place, to introduce technology that will help, and so forth. And believe me, because this labor shortage is not going away, period.
Understand. Thank you, Max. Max, I really appreciate your time and the knowledge, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Brendon, you're more than welcome. And don't be a stranger. You know where to find me.